Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Omega Files. Tonight, we're going to discuss the first two episodes of the new Doctor Who spinoff, Class. But first, let's introduce our panel. Let's start with, say hello, Matt.
Hello.
Graham.
Mathematics and alcoholic beverages. A great way to spend the morning.
AJ.
Hello, hello.
Philip.
Good evening.
Beefhead.
Yes, in case you're wondering, I did do GCSE and A-level mathematics, and I'm a big fan of alcoholic beverages. So I wholeheartedly concur with Graham's sentiments.
All right, Texas Tim.
Howdy.
And Kevin.
Hello, it's good to be back.
Okay, so interesting. Yeah, they're going to pump them out 2 episodes at a time. So we're going to briefly talk about each episode, what we liked about it, whatnot. And then at the end, we'll rate them both. Okay, that's how we're going to handle this. All right, so with opening thoughts on For Tonight We Die, let's start off with Texas Tim.
Peter Baldy. Good to see him again, man. Since Christmas, isn't it? Yeah, it was good. This is all kind of a bit of a sort of thing, a kind of a Buffy kind of thing in a way. The setup is, I mean, really the only thing they've taken from that is kind of the high school equals hell kind of thing. But other than that, it's pretty original. You got a pretty good ensemble cast. It's a pretty good intro story. You couldn't really tell any of this from the trailers that we saw that these guys were aliens, like the teacher and the one student. It was a pretty impressive start. I'll just leave it at that for now.
Okay, let's hop over to Kevin. Go ahead.
Well, it wasn't Doctor Who, that I can tell. Well, the monsters, and well, I didn't know the teacher was, of course, an alien, but I knew that, I don't know, the other guy was an alien, but yeah, it looked good. Then we get the whole Clara Oswald thing again with the doctor because he saw her name on the board. And yeah, I was waiting for him, and then he popped up like... It was cool, but then I don't know. Can I use spoilers or I don't know? But man, it's really young adult. There's nothing Doctor Who-ish about it. There's even
There's the bloody doctors in it.
Yeah, but there. I mean, you know, when somebody dies, there's blood. Oh, like, oh, dang. Well, yeah, it was a good episode. So, yeah.
Okay. Next up, Philip.
I have waited ages for something like this to come across, and it came across very well. It was good that how it neatly put together. It got you to know who the characters were very quickly and very concisely, and you felt like you knew them within 5 minutes of the whole thing. It was nice to see Peter Capaldi, although I could have done without him, to be honest, because he didn't really do much. But
screw you, Phil.
You can do later, but at the same time, it was a good piece. I mean, like Kevin said, there's lots of adult content going into it, and I enjoyed this first episode. I think I was more into the second episode, but we'll talk about that as we come along. But overall, quite good so far.
Okay, next up, Beefhead.
Yeah, I have to agree with what Tim said. Yes, it's been a while, but I would also agree with what Philip said. What I did like, certainly with the opening of it, and I'm sure I'll say the same thing about the second when we get to that, is that if you did take the aspect of the TARDIS and the Doctor out of it, it could probably, I think it can sustain itself pretty well as a show in itself. It wasn't bad. It was actually solid. I was pleased at it. I think it is aimed at a good demographic. I think what I saw in the first one, you probably could get younger kids to watch it. When we get to the second one as well, Ram does get it. Both barrels gore in the face, and this guy can't catch a break, really. It bodes well. I hope it carries on in the same nature, but doesn't try to make itself too edgy. for reasons I'll get onto later. But a solid opening episode, I will say that much.
Yeah, I was beginning to think Ram's going to be like the Ash Williams of this series, with all the blood that's getting thrown on him. Okay, next up, Graham.
Yeah, I can only concur for what's been said so far, Brian. I get where Tim's coming through with a slight Buffy comparison. But all in all, you've got some excellent characters in this thing. Miss Quill, within 5 minutes of this thing, Catherine Kelly had me bloody well sold. Just the whole attitude and the brash, abrupt nature, fantastic. You've got obviously Charlie with Greg Aston. Well, it'll be good to go a wee bit more in depth as the series goes on with regards to his character, because obviously he lied about the cabinet being empty. So we'll have to see what the reasons were behind that as and when we go down the line. Shadow creatures, great effects, as well as the dragon in episode 2, but we'll get to that. Great music, great score. All in all, I'm pleased with this. Keep it rolling.
Okay, AJ?
Yeah, I was quite surprised by this when I first watched the first episode. I thought it was going to be all cutesy-wootsy and, bunnies and stuff like that. But I was quite amazed to see blood splattering, people dying, slicing and dicing. Capaldi showing up, brilliant. And this is the first spin-off of Doctor Who that actually has words in the theme music, which was quite cool and original, I thought, too. It gave it a sort of more adult twist. I like the fact that there's the aliens that look like humans, and the question comes up, do you wear a disguise? And they're like, well, no, why would we? So it sort of answers questions people would ask in the real situation, I thought. But solid opening for the series, brilliant.
Okay, Matt Rose.
Hello, Prom Night and Death. It just ticked my boxes. I just loved this. I went into it with low expectations, as so many did, and it's really not disappointed. I've loved it. Everyone was just characterised great, and I agree with Graham. I love Miss Quill too. She just sold me within the first moments of hearing her. When we get on to number 2 later, it's completely contrast and different, but I also did love Capaldi appearing in it, because we're not getting him till Christmas, so it was a nice little cameo. I loved it, and it's brilliant as its own little series.
Okay, let's throw the floor wide open on For Tonight We Might Die. Yeah, we finally got to see the new sonic screwdriver in action.
Well, it's been in action before, hasn't it?
Well, it was only meant to be a small part of it anyway. He didn't come in till, what was it, how many minutes in the episode? Like
35 minutes.
Yeah?
Yeah, 40, yeah.
So they gave him a good chance to launch this thing off on its own before they brought in, okay, it ties into this. Well, also they did have that little bit, where Miss Quill and, I keep forgetting the guy's name, the prince. Charlie, where they're remembering back to, how this whole thing began. I love the way they did that flashback.
Well, I have a question about that.
Oh, go ahead.
The flashback, they used the 10th Doctor theme, so it almost implied that it was he that dropped them off, but they didn't. They didn't bring that up later, so I just assumed that was just
I thought that too.
Now, I got the impression they were leaving it wide open so that another Doctor was the one who dropped them off, a previous one.
But then if that was the case, they wouldn't recognise the Capaldi Doctor.
Exactly. They wouldn't have recognized him later when he pops up, I guess. So I guess that was just an assumption I made when they got to that scene. Because this is a different composer. They're not using Murray Gold for this one, but they did use some of the Doctor Who music for it. So
yeah, I love that their little spin on the Doctor Who theme they had when they were talking about him and all that. I love the way it was slightly different from the Murray Gold, but at the same time, it really, really flashed back to it. I love that little piece they did there.
Another thing I did like about that flashback as well is that it's sort of as their story's being explained and the person they're retelling it to is gaining more of an understanding. It starts with them both in the school uniform, so you get the idea, and then it sort of evolves. It changes the more truth that is given out about it as well. So I quite like that. There's a bit of progression to it, and also there is a sort of genuine authenticness, I suppose, in the way that sort of like they address the idea of how people forget things immediately straight after a Cold War score.
Yeah.
And obviously, how we all chat and everything like that. They embrace the idea of sort of Skype video messaging and everything like that, which is very popular with the kids of today.
With the kids, yes.
Yeah.
Although, just a brief shout out for poor Tanya's overbearing mother. If she was my mother, she'd be in the basement by now. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're
talking to a boy.
No, it's not just that. It's just
Yeah,
I did find it. I did find it a little bit odd that the everyday people in the school don't bat an eyelid that Ram has a new bionic leg, so to speak, and it's like an everyday thing for them. Go on.
It was keeping my head in. That's episode 2 and all in that yet. What are you talking about?
Well, you know what I mean. You can tell by the way they were trying to. He was trying to sort of like get used to it. That it's something that's not of everyday mechanics. If you know what I mean.
Well, that's the struggle of anybody who has a prosthetic. They've got to learn how to make it, part of their own body. So, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say just one more thing. But the theme music, I'm not a fan of, but I do like the fact that they put the music that I did like on the end of the show, the end credit music. That's the one I preferred rather than the beginning one.
No, I like the theme they had. It's new. It's different. It's got a beat to it.
It doesn't match very well with the theme of the show. It flips off a bit.
I disagree.
Oh, hey, AJ's been trying to talk for the last.
No, I'm listening. I'm good.
I think it sounds like something those kids would be listening to at the time. Kind of.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but it's just a bit because this is sort of like a sci-fi fantasy thing. You would have a bit more of a otherworldly tune to it.
I think it's more of a horror show, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's it. If you want to draw the Buffy comparison, to be honest with you, it's sort of that was in fitting with the music at the time in the same way as this is in fitting as well.
It also, it can get away with more than Doctor Who can, because Doctor Who's always going to be labeled as a family show, so they can't say things like shit or they can't have that kind of blood horror.
So the Doctor can actually curse if he comes by.
What I'm saying is this is an opportunity for them to do something slightly more adult, not Torchwood adult, but more adult than Doctor Who or Sarah Jane Adventures.
Yeah, don't go to that episode out of time.
On the that board where you got all the teachers' names, why is Susan Foreman on it? She wasn't the teacher.
Past student.
Past students.
Okay.
People have gone missing or died, I assume.
Yeah. That's why. It's a memorial board, is what it is, and
okay.
so that's why Susan's name's up there apparently, and so is Clara Oswald.
And Danny Pink.
If I had to levy a criticism at the first episode, because I just think it's sometimes it's a case of less is more type thing. We don't need. I don't think you need to say, there's a 2-year age gap, and she's on accelerated learning, so she's 2 years ahead of it. The girl with the pushy mum. I don't necessarily think that's easy. It needs to be done. You just haven't.
I'd agree with you, but I guess that's probably a way of demonstrating why her mother was overbearing in terms of what age she was or something. I don't know, but
that's a character point. The funny thing is that the actress that plays her doesn't look anything like 14. It's more like
I know.
Yeah. It would just make sense to say they're all the same age. Yeah, she's just got a pushy mum.
Although I've got to say, quote of the episode for me. The peanuts, they're decorating.
Yes.
Yeah. That one and the Doctor's quip about IKEA. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
They've definitely saved the best lines, I think. For certainly that episode, Capaldi. Quill is going to be your straight comic relief.
Oh, tell me. Oh, yeah.
What I like about her too is that she's not exactly the reliable adult in the room. She's actually villainous to a certain extent, because she doesn't really want to be here at all. At the end, she thinks the Doctor's going to pop him off somewhere else, He tells her, point, no, you're staying here. So
yeah, you killed that kid. You're staying here. Yeah, Yeah. Although I love it that bit. He walks in, he sits down with a cup of tea, and she's rather aggressively chomping down on the chocolate. Just yeah.
Am I the only one who thought the Vestra and Narada would be in the episode when you first saw the shadows?
Nah, that's pre-presumption. It wasn't a bad shout.
I didn't think they'd go that way. That was deliberately misleading.
That's what I thought.
They didn't go that way. They went with something different.
Exactly. I didn't think they'd go with Narada, and I'm glad they didn't, because that's their own. That's something from a while back, and let's just leave it there. Also, I don't think Patrick Ness would want to drag back somebody else's creature and all that in the first place. This is his baby, that he's launching. I kind of knew he'd go off on his own direction.
So, am I correct in understanding that the Shadow Cliff is not the last we see of them, because they had to deal with the bit about the girl with sharing the heart with it.
April's heart, yeah.
Unfortunately, like bad hemorrhoids, sooner or later they're going to pop out the temporal bunghole.
I think that it's obviously a serialized format as well, because they continue into the next episode with talking about what's already happened. And in other words, they're not standalone episodes. I would guess they would build to some kind of finale. They may involve those shadow people. And what's her name? The girl? Is it
April?
April, yeah.
April, yeah.
So we just have to see what they do with it.
Mm-hmm.
April, the goody little tissues.
Although she's a feisty little one, despite being the good little tissues, Yeah, that.
Tanya, I like Tanya out of all them.
Yeah, she was trading homework for game console money.
Yeah.
It's impressive. I mean, I think Ness is a very good writer for kids that age. I mean, from what we've seen, and they do seem like real people rather than just TV stereotypes.
You're right. Yeah, I agree with that. They come across very real.
Very enjoyable.
Yes. Okay, let's go into episode 2. Episode 2, which was the coach with the dragon tattoo. All right, let's go. Opening thoughts. Let's start with, we're going to go a totally random order. Let's start with B-Fed this time.
I wasn't as much of a fan of this one as I was the first one. It was okay. But it didn't sort of, it created questions, certainly about the headmaster, and you don't want to get the governors involved. And I did like the inspector, and obviously the deal at the end that it's made by the governors. Aside from that, the idea of the sort of tattoo coming to life and everything like that, yeah, it's okay. It's I can take it or leave it. Some people, the bum shot thing, I really do. To be honest with you, this is the only thing is, and I don't have a problem with any sort of sexuality or anything like that. Or it's a case of I don't want it to fall down the trap of where Torchwood went in the idea of trying to be too edgy. It doesn't need to be that. I think it can do all of that.
Sexual.
Hey?
You mean
overtly sexual? Is that what you're saying?
He had a shot of a guy's ass as he went to have a shower. It wasn't exactly ram and ram. I mean, come on.
No, but what I'm saying is, what I'm saying is, it's just like easy tiger. Do you know what I mean? But
dragon in this case. But
yeah. But yeah, it was okay. I wasn't as much of a fan of this one as I was the first one. It's straightforward. It's sort of that one I felt was a little bit more disposable. There were good points to it, but it was a case of more, I think, of what will come in the future that I liked more about that episode. And Ram just gets it in the face again. Poor bastard.
I know. Let's get Ashley Williams of the damn series.
It is. He's just more misery is going to be poured upon him. But I suppose that's the idea. It's the idea of that he's the popular guy and he's getting the fall from grace and having to cross the social boundaries now to join up with the loner kids. So yeah.
Although I'll give him this. We did get the term dick face used.
No, the thing was, it opens up with a shot of the coach's ass. And then what made it even worse, they zoomed in! In HD.
That was a bit cheeky. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Kevin. Go ahead, Kevin.
Well, I liked the first one more, but the second one was more horror. Yeah, like it was really gory. When I was watching this, I was talking to some friends, and I was like, I wasn't really in the mood anymore. Then, if I was eating and I watched that, I didn't want to eat anymore because really, the skin. I seen some dirty shit, but come on, Walking Dead. If you compare it to The Walking Dead, this is very edgy, and I hope they don't go that way every freaking week. To go horror, because it's still a young adult show.
Yeah, I do kind of hope they stick with the kind of thing they were doing in episode 2, though, because it was a lot more suspense to it. Even though it's a bit more gory and all that, but at the same time, come on, I like my gore.
Yeah.
Big fan of Evil Dead zombie stuff. I love it when they do that stuff and they do it just right. And they just literally had you sitting on the edge of your seat. Oh God, oh yeah. Okay, that's it. Okay, let's move on to Matt Rose.
I honestly did prefer the first one too. I quite enjoyed that more because I'm really liking the sci-fi format more, mixed with young adult. It just threw me with all this horror stuff, and the amount of people that died in this one. At least the dead are staying dead in this and not being brought back. But it just threw me. Poor Mr. Armitage. I really liked him.
Screw him. He was a pain in the ass.
This one just shocked me more than the first one, but like how you can just tell it just changes in tone and balance from the first one. Like they're being a bit more darker in this one, but I still prefer the first one. Not because Capaldi was in it, just because it was more my type of sci-fi. But we'll see how it goes as the weeks go on.
He prefers Carrie Alien. Okay.
Fortunately, he died before everyone discovered the real reason he was called the headmaster. Okay.
Oh.
All right, Texas Tim, you there?
Yeah.
All right, go on ahead. Your turn.
Well, I agree with Tim's point about it being a bit like a gratuitous butt shot, that kind of thing is just kind of really unnecessary. Because then you think, what, the dragon's going around eating everybody through this guy's butt. But I did like the development though of the characters. I think that the kid that had to deal with the loss of his girlfriend from the first episode, he's still dealing with that. Plus the fact that he's got a wooden leg now, or whatever, alien leg, and it's that's something he has to deal with, and he ends up he's going through the episode. I'm not friends with these geeks. They can jump off a cliff. I don't want to be associated. I didn't agree to join up with this group that fights aliens or whatever. And even they're kind of at a loss to what to do, because meanwhile their leader is out there playing around with a robot. So it was a fun episode though. I think it was a good second episode, and I think it seems like what they're going to do is maybe focus on one of the characters each episode, so you get to know them a little better. That's what they did with this kid. I mean, because he has to learn how to deal with the loss of somebody, and it's not easy for kids. It's not easy for anybody. So I mean, they handled it really well. I think it's that kind of program. I guess it's kind of for teenagers. So I thought that was a good thing about it.
Okay, next up, Philip.
This is my favorite episode of the two.
No wonder.
Not because of the butt shot, because I thought even though it was over graphic with its horror content, it was a damn good tight story. And okay, we've all seen shows that have tattoos that come alive and kill people and stuff. That's been done before, but in this one, it was nicely done. It's all basically down to the main monster wanting to get his lover back, basically, because she's trapped in somebody's body. That's all it boils down to. And yeah, and the gang in this were a lot more. We learn a lot more about them. We find out that Charlie has a bit of a homosexual tendencies about him, so that's cool.
That was one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, that was the first one, yeah, but we know that now. But what else? Miss Quill, she's a bit of a weeping willow when she's up against it. She's hiding behind Charlie. You deal with it. But in a sense, though, she's supposed to be his protector, so she should be the one that. That's what I don't get. If
she explained that she can't do anything unless something attacks him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She can't attack.
I see. Okay, so whatever attacks him, she can act upon it. Got you now.
That's why she threw him out in front. You here? Let it attack you, so I can do something about it.
But yeah, it's a good story, and I want more of that kind of like intense darkness of the episodes. So hopefully, I'll bring a bit more to it like that.
Okay, Graham.
Yeah, for me, and I'll concur with Texas there. You got the development of Ram in this with his psychological trauma based on what happened on the first episode. Or you don't want to go overkill with something like that, but it showed good character development for that particular character. So hopefully they don't touch on that too much going forward. This was the main chunk of it here for him. Quill once again being the comic foil with good old bald Colony Surf, which
Oh, is that him?
Yeah.
He's a lot shorter without his roller device.
Yeah, well, his roller device, yeah. So yeah, she snugged the robot. Go figure. And then she was eager to tell everybody about it, and nobody was burning their ass. So again, proving she's a comic foil. I loved the effects on the dragon in this. I wasn't too sure about the whole talking part when it started talking. I'm sitting there going, am I sitting here watching Puff the Magic Dragon or Barney the Dinosaur or something? But I was expecting somebody to lay up a bong. But other than that, no. And the gore, when the bodies were getting disposed of and they dragged them away, kind of reminded you of Alien. Yeah, a small degree, when the blood was trickling along the floor and stuff like that. Oh no, not bad. I moved the series I moved it along, and we're off to the races with this show. Good solid start. Which one do I prefer of the two? Actually, maybe just the first one, but number 2 was solid as well. Philip's favourite episode, the ass with the dragon tattoo.
Oh yeah, and also I love the bit where he's standing out back and he's smoking the cigarette with the cleaning lady. Back in my country, I was accountant.
Yeah, the stereotypical red shirt Polish dinner lady, cleaner. Yeah, okay, yeah.
And then bam, she was eaten, and then he was like, "Oh, not again, flats."
Just touching. I forgot to mention him. The principal. He had a nice chew down on his face,
He was really like, for God's sake.
Crunch!
I'm going to say it right now. Quill for principal. Thank you.
I was going to say that with all these guests in that school, you would think the police would be there by now, but not one police has been reported.
Suspend your disbelief just a tad, Philip, going
It's supposed to be a real world interface, man. Come on.
Also, yes. I love it. No, well, the thing is what it was is somehow the scenes were being cleaned up after each murder, and you'll notice because when they went looking around for evidence on the headmaster and all, when he got sucked up, and then they zoom in on that tiny little blood droplet that's still on the chest piece. That was so.
Yeah.
I love that, Mrs. Quill and all that. Mrs. Quill, Miss Quill. There's several swear words here. I don't even like. I can't.
Yeah, Catherine Guy. She's just brilliant in this, man. I just wish I'd let her go ape shit, but obviously you're not going to get that. So yeah.
Hey, there's swear words I've never even heard of. Oh yeah.
Or the doctor with the IKEA.
But you can tell she, also that's what I love about her performance. You can tell, she doesn't want to be here. She really don't, she's being forced to care. Because you saw that where, it came down between, they came down into that classroom, and then what she do? She grabs that guy and throws.
There you go. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
And of course, he turns out to be a robot who's been sent by the governors.
The governors, yeah.
That's
Who are
something-
they? We'll find out.
We'll find out. Yes.
Oh,
And
But it's
And the fact that Charlie says that that box is empty, and yet we find out that all the souls are in there. So obviously,
well, it's not something he wants to tell everybody. You know, look, I have this thing that could be perverted into a dreadful weapon sitting in my apartment. You know, you know,
yeah.
where I've got the repository of all the remaining, you know, spiritual energy of my people sitting in a cabinet in my house. You know, that's like saying, oh, look, I got a couple $1,000 boombox sitting there. You can have it. Yeah. So, yeah, he doesn't want anyone knowing about that.
Well, like the Kif said, if there's nothing in it, why have you taken it? So,
The Doctor is like, I'm not stupid.
It did. The second one did seem to be sort of more loaded with message, though. I think because the thing is, you've got the idea of the girl who's lost her father, the idea of loss from everything like that. So I would guess as well, they're trying to, even though it's young adult as well, sort of weave a sort of social commentary message for the kids into it as well. So, and that was done quite well, to be honest with you.
That's what I got from it, more than the butt shots. I mean, I thought that it was more about the development of the characters.
Which I thought was good. And to be honest with you, I liked Mrs. Quill more in the second one. I think I got more sort of meat to her character off the back of this. I mean, the comedy that she does between it, just sitting there, glaring across the classroom, and it's sort of like, what do you want? And he just writes you, and it's completely misread. She's such a reluctant character that I think, there's so much more to go with her. I hope that there will be, like Graham says, a point where she goes absolutely doolally.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Can't wait to see that. That teacher,
Okay, so we've got on about both episodes. Unless there's something else anyone wants to bring up?
I haven't said anything about the second episode yet.
Go ahead.
I really liked this episode, actually, with the whole murder and of the teachers and whatnot. It was quite good. It reminded me of Buffy in the first season, I think it is, where the principal gets killed and replaced by the new evil principal. So maybe that's what they're alluding to, that someone new is going to be coming to overwatch Mrs. Quill, maybe. I'm not entirely sure. But I really like the dragon effect. The talking didn't bother me. I mean, it's an alien. I mean, it's going to be talking.
No, it didn't bother me. I just found it funny.
I'm not dissing you. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
How many here thought for a second when the first thing that dragon was going to say was
Merlin?
Merlin.
But I also like when Mrs. Quill's sitting in the classroom looking at the guy who's evaluating her, and she throws the stapler. I'm amazed that she didn't hit a kid in the head.
Yeah.
Quite amazed. And he just catches it like it was nothing. I like the whole thing with Ram and his struggle to come to grips with he's had a loss, and he figures out that everyone else has had a loss, even Quill and Charlie. Yeah. Everyone in this whole series, it's all about loss, which I think is more a message to the audience than it is about the characters themselves.
Yeah.
Basically, we all have something we've lost multiple times in our lives, and more or less you can bitch about it, complain, and eventually roll over and die, or you can sort of stand up and fight for the next thing that you may lose.
Yeah.
So I think it's more of a show of undying hope, I guess you could say.
Fair point.
I don't know if that's my misreading of it or not, but I like the whole thing where Charlie sort of is like a doctor character. You know, he's like one of the last of his species, and he's sort of the guardian of his species at the same time as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's going to come into play sometime down the future, where he might bring him back or do something like that. So it's quite an original episode, I thought, for anything from the Whovians, which was brilliant.
Mm. Yeah, lots of little hints and all that throughout, especially that scene very, very, very near the end where you have April sitting there playing the violin, then suddenly the phone rings and it says Dad, and she automatically hits the boom ignore button.
Yeah,
I didn't catch that. Was that from her father then?
Yeah, it said Dad, if I remember right, on the phone as the caller ID.
Oh, right. So she's the only one who's got bay for parents.
Yeah. And then plus we have her mother who's in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering how that's going to factor in later on down the line. Maybe there's a story behind that we're going to find out. So that's why I love it. They've left lots of room in here to explore all kinds of different avenues.
Well, I think they said she lost her mobility in a car accident.
That's what it was. Okay, sorry. I've had my notes here now. Okay. But also, did they mention what happened to Ram's mother?
No,
Not yet.
So maybe that's something else that's going to play in, yeah.
Well,
I liked also, sorry, Phil, that they showed he has a really good relationship with his dad. His dad goes to every game he plays. He even goes to their practices. So his dad is very proud of him, and he does nobody until he admits this is what happened to his leg in episode 1. Then he's like, everybody's wondering why the hell is he fucking up like that. But I mean, no, it's good that they have that kind of thing, that they're showing that kind of relationship with the father, because. But yeah, we don't know what happened to his mother or whatever. That maybe they'll play on that later.
Yeah, and that's it. And considering all the kids actually don't say anything to their parents, and it's sort of like it comes to a point where he just breaks and said, "Look, I've got to tell you this." And then, yeah, I suppose that's a sort of a message as well. Nice and neatly woven into it as well. I did also like the little comedy aside with Charlie when you find out that she plays the violin and mainly folk music and looks up and asks why they keep dancing in circles. You do get you get the fish out of water aspect, which I would think is going to be maybe a tool later on that will get underplayed when there's a dark turn to his character, maybe with the cabinet. You never know.
Also, how many here thought the coach just kind of sort of reminded me a little bit of this guy?
Oh dear.
Now you say what? Yeah, that's pretty much sums it up.
Oh, where's Ralph DiMaggio when you need him? Yeah.
I thought the coach sounded Russian at first, or one of them sounded
Yeah,
like
the man can't stand, the man can't fight.
No, the Russian guy was Charlie's prom date.
Yeah.
Oh.
Which disappeared this episode. We didn't see him again after that first episode.
They just
He'll come back. He'll pop up again.
Yeah.
They've got to give Charlie something to play with.
the semi-regular.
Yeah, the coach was Irish, right?
Yeah.
Oh, was it Irish? I thought it was Russian. That's what it sounded to me when I was listening.
He's Russian. They all sound the same. They're not drunk.
So quite an interesting lineup, quite an interesting cast, and two very good stories to start off the series with. And lots of room to wiggle around as we go through these first of all. We're getting, 8 episodes this year, right?
Yeah.
And if this goes well, I have an eerie feeling this is going to definitely get picked up for a second series.
I've got a feeling you'll at least get 2 seasons. It's yeah.
Well, my question is, how do they rate these things that aren't broadcast? I mean, because we've all reviewed a bunch of Netflix programs, and they all get really good numbers. I mean, Luke Cage killed the internet for a minute, right? But my question is, how does this show? How do they record this show's ratings when it's not even a broadcast program?
Is it to do with how many hits it gets on iPlayer?
Yeah.
They'll be like the play button every time somebody has play on it. Yeah.
They can count how many views, plus another nifty thing, like I said, this is something that happens on YouTube. They can also analyze how many minutes was watched of each program and all that by how many viewers. And depending on how it keeps the viewers, audience retention, that's how they really base the ratings for online programs. So,
well, it's also a co-production with BBC America, who really appreciates what they have, even though it always ends up being maybe 1 million or 2 viewers at most on a Saturday night. But I mean, they help pay for this thing to be made, and I'm just wondering how that factors in. I mean, how long will they keep it going unless until they perceive it as a flop?
As long as it keeps making them money on advertisement over here in the States, they'll probably keep funding it.
Yeah, and it's going to be shown over there at the beginning of next year, so you'll get your viewerships on that side of it as well.
Yeah, and they've got it just long enough. They really shouldn't have to cut much of anything, if anything, out for a commercial broadcast of 1 hour. So, it's already pretty much set up for that, with 50 minutes on the first episode. And the second one came in around, what was it, about 40-something minutes?
43.
43, somewhere around there. And so you've got plenty of wiggle room right there. You've already got this thing set up to stick your commercials in. So, well, all I can say is Americanized.
No.
Oh God!
I didn't see it that way. I didn't see it as
IKEA.
No, that's Swedish.
There's a lot of people who throw that word around these days like it's a swear word or something.
IKEA.
Americanized. Oh, yeah. But
So-
not really Americanized. No, it was definitely a British program done well in this quality. Okay, let's go ahead and let's rate the suckers and we'll put them to bed. Okay, now for me, I'm going to start this off. Episode 1, nice strong start to the series. I'm going to put it in at a 9.5. Not, just a couple small things. They're nothing huge, but like a fantastic episode. And the second one, I'm going to wiggle in at a 9, and I'm only dropping it 1 point because of the freaking coach's ass.
Oh!
Okay, did I really have to see his ass crack in HD? Okay.
And Zoom.
Special for
How
Brian.
many pints of... Yeah, anyway.
All right. First one up for the ratings. Let's go for Graham.
I'm going to concur with you with regards to For Tonight We Die, 9.5, Brian. And the ass with the dragon tattoo, I'll give it an 8.5.
All righty, Philip.
I love both of them as they came out. So I'm giving Tonight We Die. I give that one a 9.5, and I'll also give Dragon Tattoo a 9.5 as well.
Because he liked the coach's ass.
No, because it was a good episode.
Much like the coach, fellow was always up at the crack of dawn.
The crack of dragon in this case. Okay. All right, let's move on to HD.
For me, I'm going to give both these episodes a 9.5. More so for the money shot that Ram receives in the face. So.
Oh!
Like, kaboom! Here it goes.
Okay, Beefhead.
I'm going to give the first one an 8.5. It was solid, and the second one I'm going to give it a 6.5. I wasn't as involved in it. I think there was a couple of bits on the second one where you could have just focused on the core story. You don't need to edge things up. There's a real solid story there. Focus on it. Keep a lot of the outside stuff that you don't need to. There was a lot of disposable stuff that I think you could have cut out of the second one and developed on the story. I like it. The second one was a bit more Buffy-esque than I think perhaps the first one was. Maybe because there's a heavier element of horror to it. I'd like it that the science fiction is more my science fiction than the first one. I am a big fan of horror, but I have good feelings about how it's going to go ahead. It's not the train wreck that everyone was perhaps saying it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. By no means is it perfect.
Everyone?
Look, I'll hold my hands up. I was one first one and said, I don't want this took. This is a program I didn't ask for. This was a program I didn't want, and everything like that. This is the BBC trying to be trendiest, you know what? And in a certain degree, there is a little bit of it. But I'll give Tim his dues. He said Patrick Ness is a very good writer, which he is, and he's got a thematic idea. There is a message to it, so if you want to say, if we're going to impart some knowledge and a lesson to a viewer per episode from it, the second one was very effective in how it did that. But I also am concerned about, really, I don't know anyone who watches BBC Three said, "Oh, I have to go home and look at BBC Three." It's not that, and that is the one thing that is. I don't know how it's going to get a market. If I said to my kids, who this is perhaps the age they're aiming at, sort of mid-teens, late teens, something like that, they really don't know about it. And that is something that perhaps needs to be looked at. This needs to go on BBC Two at the very least.
I think it is being broadcast though on one of the other stations, is it not? At some point,
I think so.
But I've seen nothing advertised on the big two channels of it.
Well, actually, I saw the advertising, the advertisement on BBC One.
But I'm happy to sit with 6.5, 8.5, and 6.5 respectively, man.
Okay. Next up, Kevin.
I rate this The first episode, 9.5 out of 10. And the other one, the Dragon Slayer. I liked that one, but yeah, I'm going to give it an 8. So
He's got 2 of them.
Okay. Matt Rose.
For the first one, which also had the lovely June Hudson in.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I caught my mister fiddling with himself on the stairs. Great quote. Yeah.
9.5. She just made me laugh as much.
That's because that's what you generally do. Anyway, continue.
Number 2, an 8.5 for the Dragon Tattoo, not the remake.
I will give you the girl with the dragon tattoo.
Yeah, maybe if it had been the girl with the dragon tattoo, maybe I could let the shot pass. But okay.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. Okay, and Texas Tim.
Well, it's hard to rate these because it's just, 2 episodes at once. You watch them back to back, and it's like the beginning of something new. So I don't know. I enjoyed both of them. I would say I probably enjoyed the first one better, but because it was an introductory episode, so it had a little bit more work to do. Plus, the Doctor showed up in it, which was always welcome. So I'd probably give that one a 9.5, and the second one I'd give a 9. I mean, I enjoyed the second one as well, though. I don't really have any of the reservations about the horror or the, I thought it was a perfect mix of horror, comedy, and whatever else you want to call it. It was a good continuation, and it managed to add some development to the characters. So I mean, it seems to be it's going to be that kind of show where maybe each week they'll focus on one of the characters so you get to know a little bit more about them. Or maybe not. We could be completely wrong. I mean, I loved how the teaser for the second episode made you think it was about the inspector and nothing else, and it really was about something entirely different, the dragon. So I mean, we'll see what they do with that. But yeah, so far I think it's really good. I don't have any complaints, and I think it's like Tim said, there were a lot of naysayers. This wasn't the show they wanted, but I appreciate those people that gave it a shot and enjoyed it for what it is. So.
Yeah, a really great start to a new series. That's what I got to say about these first 2. It's a nice start. It's not as I thought for a second maybe we're going to have to hold a podcast and call it Class Holes. But it came out far better. The story looks like it's going to come out good. It's a nice start for a new new little chapter of Doctor Who. So, okay, guys. Well, don't forget to join us next week as we talk about episodes 3 and 4 of Class. And
Brian,
yeah, I was going to say that.
They're only dropping 1 a week from here on in.
They're only doing 1 a week from now on? Oh,
Yeah.
bastards. I thought they were doing 2 at a time.
No.
It would have been a too short season then. They're going to spread it out.
Okay, so they're going to spread it out? Okay, I wasn't sure on that. I thought they were going to stick with the 2 per week episode. All right, so next week we'll take a look at episode 3, and we're going to see what comes out the temporal bunghole this time, and do they have the strength to hold, to hold together as they wipe it out?
Yeah, wipe it out.
Bye-bye.
Wipe you later. Yeah.